Hey, you're not in a sales process, you're in adult daycare. The real juice is what that data tells you about customer behavior. Hey, the real winners in payments are the people who show up every day. They make the calls, they do the follow-ups, they review the proposals, they're asking for referrals. They're taking the notes. Is this boring? Sexy? No. Is it effective? Yes. Well, if you don't know or you don't care, that's still a condition with consequences.
Welcome to Get Your Mind Right. Today, we're diving into your questions and insights in our mailbag segment. Thanks to everyone who wrote in. Let's open up the mailbag.
Good morning. John Johnson here, and welcome to Get Your Mind Right Mailbag Edition. Well, folks, today's mailbag is about judgment under pressure. It's knowing when to keep going, when to pivot, and when to tell yourself the truth. The reason is because not every deal deserves your energy. Not every data point deserves to stay trapped in accounting, and not every person who wants success in payments is willing to do the right and boring things that actually create that success. And later on in the backstory, I'm going to tell you about the first time I ever voted in an election, a little advice from my dad that stuck with me today, and why every choice matters, even the ones you think you're avoiding. Let's get right into it. The first question comes from Whitney Johnson from Evansville, Indiana. And she asks, John, how do you know when to walk away from an opportunity? Well, Whitney, this is a really good question because lots of people don't lose in sales because they picked the wrong opportunity. They lose because they stayed with the wrong opportunity way too long. Let me give you a clean answer. You walk away when that opportunity has stopped being an opportunity and has become an emotional hopium. That is the word, hopium. You start telling yourself, well, they like me. The meeting went well. They said circle back. They asked for a proposal. Meanwhile, nothing is moving. There's no next step. There's no urgency. There's no access and no consequence for not moving from a merchant's standpoint. It's all vibes and fantasy, unfortunately, Whitney. And that's not pipeline. That's delusion and decoration. So here's how you know when it's time to pump the brakes on the bulldozer and read the room. First of all, ask yourself whether the problem is real and measurable. Now, if the prospect cannot clearly tell you what is broken, what it's costing them, or why it matters right now, you're just dealing with interest, not intent. Now, second of all, look at the access. Whitney, if you keep talking to nice people who cannot approve, influence, or mobilize the process, you're not in sales mode. You're in adult daycare. Now, the third thing is to measure motion, not emotion. Did they take a meaningful next step? Did they bring operations, ownership, finance, or marketing? Did they give you data? Did they commit to a review date? Or did they just say, hey, sounds great, send it over? Because send it over has buried more sales reps than bad pricing ever did. Now, the fourth thing I want you to do is to watch for repeated stalls with no new information. Now, legitimate delay usually comes with context. A fake delay generally comes with fog. Things like, we're busy right now, or let's revisit next quarter. We're still thinking. Thinking about what exactly? If they cannot define what has to happen before a decision is made, they're not deciding. Now, here's the moves to make. Put the opportunity through a 3-question Whitney Johnson vibe check. Number 1, what problem are they solving? Number 2, who has to move for this to happen? Number 3, what specific event happens next and when? Now, if you're getting weak answers, go direct. I'd say, hey, Bob, based where we are, I'm not sure this is active. I just as soon be honest rather than pretend here. Should we pause this and revisit when the timing and urgency are real? Now, this accomplishes 2 beautiful things for you. It creates clarity, or it is going to create silence. Both of these are pieces of information that are going to help you. One more thing, Whitney. Walking away, it's not about losing. Walking away is standing on your business. It's protecting your time, your confidence, and your calendar from fake momentum. Thanks for that question, Whitney. Now, my next question comes from Julie Peck from Atlanta, Georgia. And Julie asks, John, how should merchants think differently about payments data as a marketing asset, not just a finance tool? Well, Julie, this is a big time question because merchants are setting on gold and treating it like gravel. The reason is most people look at payments data and think deposits, batches, chargebacks, average ticket, processor fees. That's fine. That's the accounting view. Useful, but it's very sleepy. Doesn't get anyone excited. Your real juice here, Julie, is what that data tells you about their customers' behavior. Julie, merchants need to stop asking only, what do I get paid? And start asking, what does this tell me about who buys, when they buy, how often they buy, and what I should do with that data? This shift changes everything. Now, here's how I'd coach a merchant to use payments data as a marketing asset. First thing is identify buying patterns. What days are strongest? What times are strongest? What's the average ticket by day part? If your restaurant does bigger tickets on Friday evening but has weak tickets on Monday, this is not trivial. This is all valuable marketing information. Monday becomes a campaign opportunity. Friday becomes an upsell opportunity. Now, the second thing to do is to segment these customers by behavior. Who are the high-frequency customers? Who buy monthly and then disappeared all of a sudden? Who spends once a year but spends bigly? Who adds extra? Payments data can help you create groups for loyalty campaigns, reactivation campaigns, and premium offers. Now, the third thing to do is to connect payments data to customer records. If your merchant has a CRM, POS, loyalty system, or email platform, marry the data. Now you could trigger messages based on actual purchase behavior instead of random blasts that feel like spam from 2009. The fourth thing to do here is to build campaigns off of real spend patterns. Let me give you an example. Let's say a med spa sees that clients who buy one service often come back within 45 days for a complimentary service, but only if someone follows up. Okay, well, that's great news because we can build an automated 30-day and 40-day follow-up sequence. Now, this isn't a marketing theory. This is revenue discipline. Get another example from merchant services here. I want you to imagine an auto shop that notices customers who finance tires are much more likely to return for alignment, brakes, or maintenance within the next 6 months. This means that financing data, it's not just underwriting history. It's a roadmap for life cycle marketing. The fifth thing to do here is to use the data to improve offers, not just ads. Lots of merchants think that marketing starts with Instagram captions and boosted posts. No, they don't. Marketing starts with understanding buyer behavior. Then you create the right message to the right customer at the right time. Julie, this is where audacity matters a little. Merchants have to quit treating data like a dusty file cabinet in the back of the room. Merchant who uses data for retention and reactivation and upsell is going to absolutely eat the lunch of the merchant who only stares at statement fees. Julie, get your mind right on this. Payments data is not just proof of what happened. It is a clue about what should and what could happen next. Well, thanks for that question, Julie. Our last question comes from a longtime contributor, Dawson Demmett from Boonville, Indiana. This may be the shortest question I've ever been asked. It's only 5 words. And he says, what creates success in payments? Well, Dawson, let's clear out the brush on this trail on this one. Because success in payments is not created by charisma alone. It's not created by memorizing a pitch. And it's not created by telling everyone you got big boss hog energy while your pipeline looks like a ghost town. Success in payments comes from doing a few things at full throttle over and over and over, longer than what most people are willing to do. Dawson, here's your formula. Number 1, you got to learn how to diagnose, not just present. What a weak rep does is they collect information. Now, a strong rep, not to get this wrong here, they do collect information, but with that information, they use that to uncover pain, friction, and cost. Weak rep says things like, what rate are you paying? Strong rep says, what's your current setup costing you in margin, confusion, staff friction, customer pushback, and missed growth? Big difference here. Number 2, consistency beats intensity. Now, all you high energy, high intensity people there, You're not going to like this, right? Because what a lot of weak people do is like to go hard for 2 days and then vanish. Dawson, the winners in payments are the people who keep showing up day after day on a regular basis. And this means a lot of things. It means calls made, follow-ups done, proposals reviewed, referrals asked for, reviews requested, notes taken. Well, is this boring and humdrum? Yeah. Is it effective? You betcha. It is the winning hand. Now, next thing I want to talk to you about, Dawson, is emotional control. Because this industry, it'll humble you. You get ghosted by merchants who begged for help. You're going to lose deals that you earned and you felt that were done. You watch someone with less skills close business because they had better timing or they established better trust. If every setback knocks you sideways, you're not lasting this, tough guy, because this business rewards the person who could stay steady. Now, the next thing, Dawson, is that person who has the ability to create trust in a very quick fashion. Well, a lot of people know that, and everybody wants that. It's easy to say, but it's harder to do here. So how do we do that? Well, let's break it down. What payments effectively does is it touches the money. And this money, it's intimate. You're asking that merchant to let you into one of the most sensitive parts of their business. If they think you're slick, you're dead. If they think you're clear, you're calm, and you're competent, now you got a shot. Number 5, Dawson, is all about knowing your lane. Because a lot of reps, they try to be everything to everyone. They sell just like the bulldozers that they are. This means they talk too much. They oversolve. They throw 10 products at a merchant who's only got one real problem. Okay, pump the brakes on that bulldozer, dog. Find the actual issue and solve that first. And lastly, Dawson, staying in the game long enough to compound is crucial. This is the thing that no one, and I mean no one, wants to hear. Residual income sounds sexy until you realize it's built on practice, repetition, and delayed gratification. You got to rise and grind, baby. You got to embrace it, love it, live it. The people who win big in payments did not get there by accident. They got there by stacking smart decisions for weeks, months, and years. And they do that in the little micro increments that we call days. They show up every day and they execute every day. So Dawson, let's distill this down. What creates success in payments? Discipline, diagnosis, trust, consistency, stamina. That's it. Boy, no big secret here, right? But this is the truth. Dawson, thanks for the question. All 3 of these questions today all point to one thing, and that is that success belongs to people who are willing to see clearly. Stop living on hopium. Throw that hopium. Flush the hopium. To stop ignoring the signals. To stop mistaking movement for progress. And that takes me right into the backstory. Welcome to the backstory, where I take a step back before we move forward. Each week, I share moments that shape me, whether it's my time as a sales rep, my journey as a dad, experiences I had, stories I've learned, or the curiosity that's followed me since childhood. Because every lesson learned today, well, there's usually a story worth telling behind it. Let's get into it. Today's backstory is titled, Throw 'Em Out. Now, you likely have had moments like this. Moments where you thought that not choosing was neutral. Moments where you told yourself, I'm just going to stay out of this one, or I'll decide later, or even, I don't think I know enough yet. In sales and business and relationships and leadership, it usually feels safe at the moment. But later on, you realize not deciding was a decision all along. And that's why this particular story has stuck with me for years and years. I'm going to take you back to Election Day. This wasn't this last year or even 2 years ago. I'm talking about the very first time I voted. I just turned 18, 5 weeks earlier to be exact. And I was feeling pretty grown up walking into that polling place. I voted for president, voted on some local races. Then I left a lot of the boxes unchecked, left them blank. These are things like judges and propositions, names I didn't recognize, issues I didn't feel like I understood well enough to vote. So I skipped them. Now, you look at this on the surface, sounds responsible. And honestly, you could construe that part of it was. There's something respectable about not pretending to know what you don't know. When I got home, Dad asked me how it went. He asked me who I voted for and why. And I could tell from his face he didn't exactly love every answer I gave him, but he kept it respectful. He let me talk. He heard me out. Then I told him I'd left a bunch of boxes on the ballots unchecked. I left them blank because I didn't know enough to have an opinion. Well, that's when I got the Johnny Lynn Johnson life advice. Now, this was a long time ago, and I'm paraphrasing, but his gist was this. If you don't know, or if you don't care, that's still a condition with consequences. If someone's in office and you don't even know their name, maybe you can get something out of that. Maybe that is telling you something. Or if there's some proposition on the ballots and it appeared out of nowhere, maybe you ought to get curious before you drift past it. Now let me be clear here. This is not me turning this into a civics lesson or telling you how to vote. It's not the point. The point is what hit me underneath all of it. And the day that I learned that apathy is still a choice and silence can still cause damage. Every choice matters, even ones when we avoid them. There is an outcome, and this applies way beyond a ballot box. Whitney, it applies when you refuse to walk away from that fake opportunity because you'd rather just stay busy than face the truth. And Julie Peck, this applies to you when a merchant sits on valuable customer data for years and years and never uses it because it's just accounting stuff. Dawson, I'm talking to you here. It applies when someone says they want success in payments but won't commit to the daily repetitions, the hard conversation, the emotional control, and the long road. Now, lots of people think that the danger is making the wrong move. But you know what? Sometimes that danger, it's bigger when making no move and then calling it wisdom. This is how you end up with bad deals that live too long. That's how weak systems stay weak, and that's how average results become permanent. Sometimes you need more information. Absolutely. And sometimes waiting is smart, and sometimes restraint is the right call. Sometimes, you know what? You already know enough. Sometimes the problem is not ignorance, it's avoidance. And that day at 18, I walked in thinking voting was about filling in bubbles, checking boxes. I walked out of that conversation realizing it's also about ownership. This means ownership of your voice, ownership of your choices, and ownership of what happens when you stay passive. And that lesson has followed me in business ever since, because in sales, leadership, and life, unfortunately, you don't get to avoid consequences just because you avoided a decision. And that, my friends, is the backstory. Now, today's takeaways, they're pretty simple. Whitney reminded us that not every opportunity deserves endless optimism. Sometimes the strongest move is to walk away from hopium and stand on your business. And my friend Julie reminded us that payments data is not just a finance tool. Used right, it becomes a marketing asset that helps merchants retain customers, reactivate buyers, and increase lifetime value. And Dawson reminded us that success in payments, it ain't magic. It's discipline, trust, diagnosis, consistency, and stamina. And the backstory also came from a frequent contributor, my dad, and he reminded us that apathy is not neutral. Silence isn't harmless. Every choice matters, including the ones we pretend not to make. Hey, folks, it's quiz time. Drop your answer in the box below. Which is the biggest red flag that an opportunity may be actually fake momentum? Would that be the prospect that asks smart questions, the prospect that introduces other decision makers, the prospects who keeps delaying with no clear step or defined reason, or that prospect who wants a proposal? Post your answer and your comments in the box below. And hey, if you like what you heard today, share this with someone who could use it. And I'd like for you to like it, hit that subscribe button. If you got questions or comments, I want to hear about them. Drop them in the box below. I'll see you here on Wednesday for Get Your Mind Right.